Well, it didn't take long. The Optus boss, Kelly Bayer-Rosmarin, calling time on her career at the company in the wake of the outage disaster. Now begins the task of finding a replacement and fixing a very damaged reputation. Marketing expert Toby Ralph joins me now. Toby, nice to see you. The CEO falling on her sword today. Was it inevitable?
Totally. She was a dead duck when she went into the Senate inquiry. You know, they don't call a Senate inquiry to get to the truth. They call a Senate inquiry to get to a headline, and she was that headline. And plus, of course, she made three critical errors. There's a three-strike rule in corporations. If you get three things wrong, you're out. She had a data breach of 10 million people getting their data plundered. She had an outage for millions of customers. Banks stopped, shops had to close. It was awful, and worse still, they completely mishandled the communications. It's one thing to get things wrong, but not to mismanage how you talk about it is awful.
So how bad are things for Optus, and is seeing the CEO resign, is that enough to actually turn it around?
Very bad and no. The short answers. Optus are going to lose a lot of business, and they're going to lose a lot of brand loyalty because of this. And a CEO is only the tip of the iceberg, of course. There's been a team that's mismanaged a range of things, and they're going to be punished financially. The customers will leave them.
So do you think more people need to go?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, they didn't have redundant systems. They clearly hadn't war-gamed what should be happening in the event. You know, when you run a company like this, when you run any decent corporate, you anticipate what might happen. An airline says, what happens if we have a crash? They try and stop it, but they say, well, what do we do if it does crash? And they work it out, who does what, when, how it all works. If you're running a telco, you must surely think what happens if we collapse, or what happens if our data goes down, that it gets plundered. They're two of the biggest risks, and they clearly hadn't planned for that. They didn't have redundant systems. It's awful. It's lousy corporate behaviour. It's lousy leadership, and that doesn't stop with a CEO.
Because I think besides the catastrophic technical problems we've seen, you've also got this inability of Optus to communicate clearly. And we saw those two extreme examples of that, obviously, with the outage and the data breach. But there was that moment at the Senate inquiry where Kelly Bayer-Rosmarin mentioned that she actually has two backup phones with competing telcos, which sort of felt like, OK, this is the moment, this is the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, well, you know, a Senate inquiry was kind of a firing squad waiting for a command, and then she said, well, if my Optus phone goes down, I've got a backup here with Telstra and a backup here with Vodafone, and that was, you know, fingers on the trigger and pull. It was shocking. I think actually somebody might have known that and might have set her up for that. But yes, I mean. It's just ridiculous that she said that. Absolutely ridiculous.
So the big question now is who takes over. There is talk about the former New South Wales Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, possibly stepping up. Do you think that's likely, and is it a good move?
I like and respect Gladys, but no, it wouldn't be a good move. She's political, so she's divisive. She's also been tainted with association with scandal in the past, and that is the last thing that Optus need. I mean, she can clearly do the job on a Wednesday afternoon, but that's not the point. A lot of this is going to be about Optus and optics, and Gladys is the wrong look. I think they need someone external. I think they need someone with technical skills, so people are reassured that there's someone with technical credibility in the joint, and they clearly need some really good communications professionals consulting to them and fixing it up, because they just don't know how to talk to the public.
All I know is I don't envy whoever steps into that role, but Toby, appreciate your time. Thank you.
A pleasure, Ali.